Hello and welcome to Medical Edge. My name is Todd Barnes. This program is produced as a partnership between the Mayo Clinic and the City of Thornton. We hope every episode provides you with valuable health information for you and your family.
For almost 2 years, Charles Okeke lived in a Mayo Clinic hospital tethered to a machine.
All I knew is there's something beating that is not a part of me, but is attached to me somehow.
A completely artificial heart.
You can feel it. I mean, it's pounding. It's not a light thing. It's pounding. Very audible. Boom, 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 boom.
Years ago, Charles had a heart transplant because a condition called cardiomyopathy caused his own heart to fail. Over time, his new heart failed too.
He developed what's called chronic rejection, and that's where the heart muscle gets weaker and people go back into congestive heart failure. So Charles was very sick when he showed up at the hospital. Charles was going to die unless we did something.
Mayo Clinic cardiologist Dr. Eric Steadley says Charles could not, at that time, have another transplant. His immune system was so revved up that it would reject almost any new organ. What they did to keep him alive was implant the artificial heart. First, the surgical team removes the right and left ventricles, or the two main pumping chambers. They also remove the heart valves. Then they attach small tubes to the upper chambers and two main vessels. Finally, they attach the artificial pumping chambers. An external machine or driver powers the heart.
It might have taken, a couple of weeks before I was able to actually put my hand to my chest and acknowledge that, okay, yeah, I have an artificial heart.
Then the wait began. Charles' immune system had to settle down to allow for another transplant. Days, weeks, months passed.
You have to have a strategy, so it's a long day.
To pass the time, Charles read, surfed the web, exercised, and he got to know hospital staff very well.
Some of the best laughs I've ever had, were in the hospital. Some of the best conversations I've ever had were in the hospital.
Then, after more waiting, a portable driver allowed Charles to leave the hospital. He was going home for the first time in over a year.
You guys have made this a great experience for what it was.
Home to his wife Natalie and 3 young children.
Thank you guys. Cheers to you all.
But it was a temporary visit. Charles couldn't stay on the artificial heart forever, so after a time at home, he went back in the hospital where finally he received the gift of life after 2 years on the artificial heart.
The great thing that I've learned in all of this, how my life has changed, is that I think I know how to simplify my life. And life, to me, is really simple. Life is about service. And that is it.
I learned to be a better physician taking care of him because I wanted to radiate that hope to my other patients who maybe didn't have that same resiliency that Charles did, because I knew it was the way to get through some tough time.
For Charles, those tough times are over. He's healthy, living a life of faith, love, and family.
I feel like I'm the most blessed person on earth. I mean, my whole life, some of the things that have happened to me in my life prove to me my life is charmed. This I know.
It's not often that a rash will land a child in the hospital.
It was just the skin. He was his normal, cheerful self.
But when 7-month-old Max Gumbel's chronic eczema suddenly erupted over a 24-hour period, a call to a nurse helpline prompted his parents to take him to the emergency room.
And then this morning, when he started getting it in his mouth, I think that was the clincher.
Right there, in the middle of Max's tongue, is the telltale blister. The diagnosis, hand, foot, and mouth disease, a common condition usually appearing in children under 5 years old.
What happens is kids will get a fever, they may not feel well, and then over the next few days they'll get more symptoms. So
Max's pediatric dermatologist, Megan Tollefson, says because of his eczema, a round of tests was quickly ordered up to rule out other conditions such as chickenpox, a staph infection, or the presence of the herpes virus, which can create more serious complications. Dr. Tollefson says another situation may also require hospitalization.
one is if there are so many sores in the mouth that they couldn't drink and they were getting dehydrated, and they would need to be in the hospital for fluids, basically.
Interestingly, tests revealed that Max had contracted a newer, more aggressive strain of hand, foot, and mouth virus. First seen just a few years ago, it often causes a more widespread rash on the torso, arms, and legs.
Kind of the mystery to me was he was getting it on his hands and in his diaper, where he had never had eczema before.
Considering the other possibilities, however, Jennifer says the diagnosis was actually a relief. Because it's a virus, Dr. Tollefson says in most cases there's little to do beyond letting it run its course.
So just trying to get kids to eat and drink as much as possible, and if they have a fever, to give them medicines like Tylenol or ibuprofen to help with the fever.
For the Mayo Clinic News Network, I'm Dennis Doda.
In 2004, Cynthia Weiss' doctor told her something no one wants to hear.
It's tested positive. Nothing made sense.
Ovarian cancer.
It really wasn't the cancer diagnosis that caught me. It was the moment after he said, you have stage 4 ovarian cancer and you need an immediate hysterectomy, radiation, and chemotherapy. And I just went, So I don't have kids yet, I'm not married, and I've always wanted to be a mom.
Cindy endured the treatment and was cancer-free for almost 2 years. Then Cindy says she just didn't feel right. The cancer had come back.
Ovarian cancer has been called the silent killer, and the reason for that is the initial symptoms, if you will, may be very vague and nonspecific.
Dr. Matthew Robertson says since symptoms can be vague, abdominal bloating, maybe a stomach ache, some women figure it could be something else, so they don't get diagnosed until the cancer spread. But the good news is that treatment keeps getting better.
We're learning more and more about what genetic aberrations, what faults drive the progression of cancer and lead to recurrences. The more we learn, we're identifying new targets which we can hopefully develop drugs to attach and continue to improve survival rates.
It's been 5 years since Cindy's second diagnosis.
It's a great milestone.
And sure, she thinks about it.
Yeah, it happened once and it came back again. Will it come back a third time?
But now Cindy's cancer-free, and her main focus is on life. A year after her second diagnosis, Cindy married her longtime beau, David. And shortly after that, they adopted Charlotte.
But I have my husband, I have my daughter, I have my family.
For Mayo Clinic News Network, I'm Vivian Williams.
My name is Álvaro Gómez. I am a conductor and a violinist. I create, many years ago, the Winter Park Chamber Music Academy, who is an institution dedicated exclusively to chamber music. And beside that, I am the artistic director of the FYAO, the Florida Young Artists Orchestra, who is one of the youth orchestras here in town. Music always was part of my life. I never imagined will be the center part of my life, but it's a passionate life. I love it. Even I feel in the best shape of my life, but I went to do all the checkup. I find out about I have to see a specialist I never imagined would be cancer, and they find out. And I always have I can do everything, you know. Suddenly saying I have cancer, I say, oh my God, my life is finished. If that give you a tremendous conflict about if I would be able to to grow my daughters, you know, if I will be able to play with my grandchildren and all that stuff. 1, 2, 3. I asked to every one of my friends where would be the best place to go, and fortunately I decided to go to the Mayo Clinic, who was 1 hour and a half from my home, and they said me need to be operated. They use a system, something Da Vinci Robotic. The robotic prostatectomy was a lot less invasive. It was great. I was very lucky. When the lucky is part of the team of doctors who they work for me. I feel full with energy. I want to keep working. I want to dedicate my experience, you know, in my musical life, transfer that to the new generation, to the kids. That passion, I don't want to lose it. Not only the passion, is the desire to do it. I still have it. I hope I will have it for a long time.
That's all for this episode of Medical Edge. If you're interested in learning more about any of the stories featured on this program, you can find additional resources by visiting our website and following the link to the Mayo Clinic. Thanks for watching, and be sure to watch the next episode of Medical Edge from the City of Thornton.